Welcome to Mastermind Chess Club. I'm Master Noam Wittenberg, and I'll be your instructor for the day. Today I'll teach you a couple of chess traps which you can use to win games quickly against your opponents in the openings. Let's start with this one, the elephant trap in the Queen's Gambit, which I fell for myself once. Yikes. d4, d5, c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6, pawn takes d5, pawn takes d5, bishop g5, this is called the Carlsbad, and knight bd7, a devious move with a tricky trap. The pawn on d5 looks as if it's n3 in this position. It's defended by the knight on f6, but the knight on f6 is pinned to the queen on d8, so many of your opponents will be tempted to take the pawn. And here you have a very unpleasant surprise in store for them. It turns out that you can take on d5, and after bishop takes d8, you have bishop b4 check. And it turns out the only move to defend against this check is to go queen d2, giving the queen back, and then you just take on d2, take on d8, and you're up a knight with a big advantage in this position. Let's move on to the second trap, which I fell for myself quite a lot, admittedly when I was 8 though, so I was still quite young and learning. e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6, this trap is in the Petrov. Knight takes e5, knight takes e4, queen e2, the knight on e4 is under attack. Consequently, numerous of your opponents will be tempted to move it. And after they move the knight, you've got a little surprise in store for them. Knight c6, a double attack on the king on e8 and queen on d8. Queen e7 doesn't really bring any salvation though, as you just take it and you're up a queen in this position. The next trap I'd like to show for you is d4, knight f6, c4, a trap as black, a trap in the Budapest Gambit, which goes e5, pawn takes e5, knight g4, knight f3, knight c6, bishop f4, bishop b4, knight bd2, queen e7, and in this position, many of your opponents will be tempted to attack the bishop on b4 to clarify its intentions, and they'll play a3. Here you could move the bishop, but instead you have a very tricky move. Knight g takes e5, leaving the bishop on b4 hanging. And if white continues with your plan of taking the bishop, you give a checkmate on d3 and you're quite satisfied as you've won the game. And the final trap I'd like to show for you, one which you probably remember, and the one which occurred in PogChamps. It was Moist Critical who used this trap to dismantle XQC with the guidance of Daniel Naroditsky the Prophet. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, this is a trap for black, d4, pawn takes d4, knight takes d4, bishop c5, putting pressure on the d4 knight, c3 to defend it, queen f6, increasing the pressure on the d4 knight. And here many of your opponents, to get rid of the pressure, will be tempted to take on c6. Then you take on f2 and it's game over. A better alternative for them is to go bishop e3, and then you can continue knight g7 with the normal position, which is approximately equal. I hope you'll use some of these traps to win your games, and feel free to share in the comment sections your favorite games using these opening traps. Don't hesitate to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Have a wonderful day.